best bands, or the important bands, tend to come from the sticks or the suburbs.
Dan was probably the only one that was professional musician because he'd done session work for people and stuff. I hadn't practiced really for ages, you know. I'd been at college and then just moved to London, and all the time I was at college I wasn't able to practice. Justin was just discovering that he could be a singer, you know, so none of us, it wasn't like the dream team, you know, it was none of us were it wasn't the 4 best musicians ever in the world put together. It was sort of making something work out of the 4 of us.
When a band really works, it's not because you've got the best musicians, it's because you've got, you know, a vibe.
Then again, maybe that's like the charm of it is that it's not perfect, you know. It's real. You know.
We're not natural performers at all. Myself, Dan and Ed, we've had to work really hard at that side of things. In fact, even in the early days, Justin was quite shy.
I've always sung, and it's never been an epiphany moment where I've suddenly gone, oh, hang on a minute, listen to that voice, isn't it silky?
In a way, we've all had to work really hard to even force ourselves to be on a stage. And Justin's had to work hard too to be in a situation where he's delivering things in an emphatic and serious kind of way, because his instinct is to be the joker and tomfoolery and just to mess around, you know. So.
Justin basically does his own thing, and he's the star, and we, as a backbone, we basically get it right. Dan said once we set up an open goal for him to score.
It's not easy to do like scissor kicks and do what Justin does every night, you know, and that kind of intensity of delivery. Not really giving yourself, you know, it's kind of tough.
In terms of like being in a band and knowing each other for years and years, yeah, that definitely keeps you together. Especially the brother thing, you know, because the brothers could have the worst argument in the world and they'll make up again. Not that they do, but I'm just saying having something like that kind of can tie you together a bit, you know.
When I was at school, my brother used to walk around like he owned the place, and he's quite sort of, he was good looking and never really struggled with ladies. And I used to see these sort of ugly blokes playing their guitars and achieving lady companions. And I used to think, well, hang on a minute, there's only one difference between that bloke and me, he can play a guitar. So I was determined to get laid, basically, in short. Paid dividends.
We didn't really get on that well at school.
Why was that?
I don't know. I think it's that part of that thing of when you live together as well. It's weird, when he moved out of home at 16 and moved in with his girlfriend when he left school, from that day on we literally were kind of best mates, and all the, you know, the animosity kind of disappeared like that. But right up to that point, I mean, you know, it was pretty much opposites.
I used wanting to be a rock star as an excuse for not wanting to be in education anymore, you know, and it didn't. And to have that sort of ideal that is so not going to happen, you know, like just absolutely an unreachable goal, just meant that everything seemed like this magnificent epic quest, you know, even if it was signing on for 8 years or whatever it was. If your goal is rock star, then you never have to actually take part in society as we know it. You can just exist next to it.
I kind of convinced Dan to try and give it another shot with his brother, because he'd said that he'd always had problems being in a band with Justin because they're so different. They always used to fall out, and they both kind of quite conflict shy.
You had a tremendous drive to get these bands going. When did you ever think that you weren't going to do it at that early stage? Did you just think, this isn't working?
No, I always thought eventually one of them would come off, you know. I've actually thought every single band I've been in would be absolutely massive, you know, and then it only becomes apparent, you know, once you kind of start hearing things back. You're playing gigs and you realise you don't enjoy it because your band's shit, basically.
So you left school at what, about 16, was it, to be a musician?
Mm-hmm.
Well, looking back, trying to remember then, was it something you told your friends and your brother, or was it something you were going to do?
I think I told everyone that's what I was going to do from age 9. Yeah, luckily my parents took me seriously. I took myself very seriously. When I left school, I thought I could just step into any band. You know, I was a bass player at that time, and I thought, right, move to London, get a job. You know, there'll be some bass player will leave a big band, and I'll just step in. You know, whether it's U2 or whatever. It's totally, you know, full of confidence, I suppose.
The Darkness donated some musical instruments and equipment to Kirkleigh Community High, their old school in Lowestoft.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Can I ask, perhaps, you to unveil our plaque?
Can I do it?
Oh, yes, just
There's one thing I love, it's unveiling plaque. Here we go. Which is why I smile so often. Ready? Yep. Woo!
Get in there.
I can't get rid of you. Don't know what to do.
I guess I've always been really, like, stupidly ambitious, you know, over-ambitious, definitely. And also, I guess I'm just a pretty good organiser. I'm one of those people that, like, you know, when you play football, I'm the one that starts shouting instantly at everyone, you know, taking control, I suppose. I wouldn't say I'm a control freak, but I don't have a problem with taking things in a direction and, you know, telling people what to do.
You know those brakes squeaking? Not very good, is it? And your car as well.
How did you learn your music? What I read, your parents were tremendously supportive.
They certainly were, but you mustn't speak to them.
Why is that?
Well, because they like it too much, you know. They're into the celebrity of it, I think. Aren't they, Mum? I think it comes from, like, Dad having worked his fingers to the bone throughout his life and sort of having a little bit of regret that he was never a fisherman or a golfer, you know, or somebody who just shot pigeons for a living. And his whole thing was, well, if you want to do it, son, do it. As long as you're happy, that's fine, you know. And there was never any of that sort of, gotta get yourself a proper job thing, you know.
Would you say that the record, the Permission to Land, a lot of it comes out of Lowestoft?
Yeah, I think that's
So it fed you quite,
yeah,
quite
definitely.
well,
Oh,
didn't it?
certainly, yeah. But I mean, that's another sort of indication of our determination just to be ourselves, really. And I think a lot of bands kind of try and globalise the subject matter of their songs, and they just reduce it all to a very non-specific. Rather than having a story, it could be anywhere.
You start right at the beginning and make a clear statement. This is a little local legend, Black Shuck, and you go for it. Because that's this kind of headline. It's saying, look, we're not only who we are, we're not only doing what we want, we're not only making the sound we want, but we're telling a story that comes out of a very small parish, usually a parish, in a remote part of England, and there you go.
Well, I remember visiting Blytheborough Church for the scene of the Black Shuck disaster, or myth, as a child.